All righty. Good evening. You guys, thank you so much for joining us today, this evening, whatever time it is in your world. So, welcome to our first discussion about the serious effects of having a toxic relationship with your mom. So, first, let me just preface this by saying this is not a bashing session. We're not here to bash mothers. I'm here to share my experiences on what my life was like and how having a toxic parent has shaped me as an adult, right? So the most important part is that we want to support each other. We want to be spread some awareness. As of late, we hear a lot of topic around mental health. People talking about getting healing, um, childhood trauma, you name it. All of these buzzwords that we tend to um, cling to these days. But really, do people know what that means to like really heal from trauma, childhood trauma? And most people just kind of say it, and there's really a lot more to just saying get some therapy or get some help, right? So the purpose of me doing this is it's just not about a personal struggle. It's about how relationships are affected, our families, our children, the people around us. And as most of you know, I embarked on this about 2 years ago, and I really wasn't ready, right? It was still very hard, very emotional, very raw. Even at my age, it was still very, very tough to talk about this. Um, the difference in then and now is that I had a lot more work to do, and I feel like I have a lot to share in regards to um, where this can take us as a community, um, how this can just help heal us as a community, right? Um, for those that are lucky enough to have a loving mother daughter bond, um, they might not fully understand the challenges faced by those who struggle with this type of existence. So, this is not to say that all mothers are like this, not every mother daughter relationship is like this. It's just to say that it's a different existence. So hang on, guys. I've got somebody that's going to be joining the room here. Just one of my panel members who's also um, been in this type of relationship and currently is in this type of relationship with her own mother, right? And hey, Anna, thank you
Hey,
for joining in.
all right.
So, um, so this is Anna, you guys. And Anna, I
Hello.
was just kind of going over our introduction and just kind of explaining to people like what our purpose here is, right? A lot of people have said, well, what is the purpose? Why are you guys doing this? What do you expect to happen from this? This is like taboo. Well, this is not a mother thing. This is a me thing, a you thing, and how we present ourselves to the world and how we can be better. How we take those experiences and we don't unleash ourselves onto the world in these bad ways, right? Our behaviors is an opportunity to re-examine who we are, so to speak, just to kind of see how we can be better, not just to ourselves, but to our children, our mates, just people around us in general, how we present ourselves to the world, because it is a very real thing, right? So, to those who say it's easy to move on, to forgive, to get over, you got to remember that these aren't just simple processes. The issue is more common than most of us think. And it's sadly become a bit of a norm, in our community. Our society is just so riddled with hurt, damage, just a lot of things. And we're quick to dismiss it. The reason for this is that we don't want to dismiss it, right? So I'm just going to let Anna tell us who she is. As you guys know, I'm a motherless flower. I came up with the name of Motherless Flowers because I grew up without a mom, right? A motherless flower just simply means that we don't get to bloom in the same way that most people do, right? We show up very differently in the world, and so that's where that name comes from. So, Anna, I want you to tell people a little bit about who you are and what your relationship is with your mom currently and today.
Hello. Hello. Yes, my name's Anna, and My relationship with my mom right now is I had blocked her recently, so just the way that she
And
acts.
I can't hear you, honey.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, just the way that she kind of like acts as far as like the support is not there. And I'm not talking about financial, I'm just talking about like, spiritually and emotionally.
Hmm.
What I look for and I expect, from my mom is not something that I have. So right now, the relationship is to me, I don't want to say non existent, but it's not what a mother and daughter relationship should be, should I
Right.
say.
Okay.
Yeah.
I I can totally relate to that. And again, this is not to bash our mothers personally. The goal is to encourage people to examine themselves, whether you're a mother or are you on the receiving end of this. And we're all mothers. I'm a mother. And the goal is
Thank you.
to allow people an opportunity to just kind of re-examine who they are, how you are as a parent, what your relationship with your parent is currently today, and how that can be better, right? Because obviously, if you just look around in our community, it does impact us greatly, and we can see it in our children. And it shows up every day. It shows up in our relationships again, as I mentioned. And so, um, for me, I'm a mother of two. I have a son and a daughter. My daughter is 23, and my son is 28 years old. And I would definitely have to say that I'm not a perfect mother, and Lord knows that I could probably have done a lot of things very different. And I think that my son has been on the receiving end of a lot of my toxicity that I kind of came through. But I will have to say that he played a big role in getting me back on track, right? Um, I would
Yeah.
have to say that there are things that click in us as we become older um,
Yeah.
that should make you want to be better, right?
Yeah.
And so my son, obviously, he was very instrumental in that for me, and I'm still a work in progress, right? Um,
Yes.
because I come from a lot of, um, I wouldn't say, well, we're gonna say neglect. We're gonna use the word for what it was, neglect, parental neglect, right?
Okay.
So, can you tell me a little bit about what your relationship with your kids is currently? Like,
Oh, well, my relationship with my kids currently, so my son, we had a rough relationship because he is my oldest son. He was like first for like 5 years.
mm-hmm,
And now that he is in the Marines, and he's able to get that distance from me,
mm-hmm,
I feel like it's pretty good. When he comes back, he's happy to see the family. I'm happy to see him.
mm-hmm,
And I'm proud of him more than anything. And then I have a few other children. I have my oldest daughter, she's 17, and I got my other daughter, and then I have my little ones. And I try to spend as much time with my kids as I can.
right,
And I don't want to create the same type of situation that my mom created. It's not something that's like nagging my mind, but like when I see myself doing certain things that maybe I've seen as a child, like I really do my best to correct those things.
absolutely. I would definitely want to say that that's kind of where I was headed earlier, right? Um, when we notice things about ourselves, right, you hear people all the time say, okay, you know what, you got a lot of trauma, you're real toxic, you need to get some help. And you have to stop and think, okay, it's easy to say that, but when you are
What's
doing,
the root issue? Why is that
right,
the situation? Why do
right.
you
When you're
feel
doing
that way?
introspect, absolutely. You
Yeah.
want to say, why am I like this? Why do these things keep happening? Or why am I showing up? You know, if somebody tells you something about yourself more than once, you may want to kind of take a look at, maybe there are some things about me that need to be addressed. And that was kind of what was happening for me. Throughout life, I blame my mother for everything. She was like, everything that went wrong in my life, I felt like it was her fault. And then at some point, I had to say, okay, every decision that I make, she doesn't have that control over my life anymore, right?
Right.
So I had to figure out exactly why I was the way that I was. And when I say the way that I was, that's so many things. And we're definitely going to get into that much later on in future series. But this is
Can you
just,
hear me?
yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay.
So what I wanted to really address is how our mothers shape us, right? Um,
Yeah.
and what that means for us moving forward, what that means for our children, what that means for our relationships, what that means for society as a whole. And again, and I'm going to say this is not to make anyone's mother feel bad. I'm a mother, right?
Right.
So this is a behavior thing. This is again, just addressing yourselves and how you can be better, not just for other people, but for yourselves, right? I
Right.
definitely have to say that since I've done a lot of work, as people say,
Mm-hmm.
which included 3 years of outpatient therapy because I was severely depressed for a number of years. Um, my mother was my biggest bully. She was a bully. And I didn't know how to deal with that because I loved my mother. Like I needed her more than anything. And there were times where um, I just didn't know where to get that love from. So that kind of led me to different places, just bad choices.
I totally understand that.
Mm-hmm,
Because like when I first moved out to the city where I'm at right now,
mm-hmm.
I mean, I was focused on like going to school, working and stuff. But as far as when it came to relationships, yeah, I was making a few poor choices with that for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like if I would have had my mom strongly in my life, which she was my only family member out here, that I was close to, then I wouldn't have. I don't want to say that I wouldn't have because I mean, I think that I was pretty strong on making my own choices. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that she did try to tell me a couple of things a few times, but it was like because of my mistrust for her, I kind of like brushed it off.
So when you say your mistrust, like was your mom consistent in your life or was she kind of in and out?
Well, I
Like,
mean, she always been where she's been at, but me and her, for me it would just be a lot of triggering going on. Like I would just with my mom because and I'm not trying to bash my mom or anything, but my mom was very like physically and mentally abusive.
mm-hmm.
So, like when I'm around her for a extended period of time, it could literally be like 5 minutes, and it would be something that she'll say or something, and I will feel triggered. I will feel like you playing mind games again. It doesn't take me much to like feel like she's doing something to be
So
condescending.
let me ask you, how do you think that you guys got to that place? Has it been this way your whole life, or is it something that happened over time?
Well, I think that it's something that happened over time. I don't think that my mom knows how to really like her. I don't want to really say too much to put her down, but I feel like because she lost so many people, she
Yeah.
has a real strong inability to connect. So like
Okay.
as much stuff as I've been through, like my brother got drowned when we were 8. And even before that happened, she was still abusive to me and my brother.
Right. Right.
So it's like now I just feel like because of her experiences, I had experiences. Like because she lost a lot of people and she didn't really get the help that she needed as far as counseling and stuff, that affected me. And
Yeah.
I did do extensive counseling since I've been in counseling since I want to say 2003.
Yeah. I can definitely understand that. We can I also can relate to that, but really quick, Sophia, one of our other flowers, as I like to call us, has joined us. And Sophia, I just did a little bit of our introduction. And if you want to just tell everybody who you are, what your current relationship with your mother, what your age is, and what your relationship is with your daughters today.
Okay. My name is Sophia Abdul Rahim. I'm 42 years old. The relationship that me and my mother have is kind of like in the middle
Hmm.
because I mean, trying to work on it to make it healthy, basically. So it's like we're in the middle. We're not all the way there completely healthy, and we're not all the way at the end either, where we're like not talking to each other.
Hmm.
Um, the relationship I have with my daughter is amazing, but recently it's been questionable. So we're
Right.
gonna see. We're gonna see how it all plays out in the next couple of months.
Okay. So I know that you said that your daughter is 17, right?
Yeah, she's
Like when you were 17 and even up until this point, like has your mom always been in your life? Has she been kind of in and out? Like what created this separation or this contention with you and your mom, do you think?
because it's been like a back, like an in and out type thing.
Yeah.
Because she was there until I was like 10. Then my daddy took over, and I have been with him ever since, basically since 10.
Okay. So kind of
And
in and out. Okay. So kind of give you guys a little bit of background about me and my mom. I haven't lived with my mother since I want to say 14. I have five siblings, which are all boys. I'm the second oldest, right? I'm the only girl. So that makes it even harder, right? To try and understand. People don't understand like it's embarrassing. It makes you feel ashamed. It makes you feel it's very hard to explain that you don't have a relationship with your mother, right?
Yeah, because people kind of judge you
it
a little
is,
bit, like
they
what's
do
going
judge you.
on with you and your mom,
Yeah.
like why can't you get along with her?
Yeah, even your family members,
Yeah, it
like
does.
Yeah, I
your
just spoke
family
to a
members,
family
like they look
member.
at you and they they are, it's like they make condescending messages and shit, like,
Mhm.
you know, don't you know what your mother want for Christmas? Nah, bitch, I don't know. Do you know? You might know more than I do.
Right.
So
That's real.
mess things like that, like those are the
Hmm.
types of things that people say to you when you don't have a good relationship with your mother. And
Yeah.
then, and sometimes it kind of makes you feel bad on your own because you don't have that relationship.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
then like with family support too, like with my mom, like they want us to be so close, but I feel like they don't really understand the underlying issues. Like if I
Right.
tell, like just like the other day, I was talking to my cousin and she was like, "You talking to your mom?" And I was like, "No." She's
Hmm.
blocked, and then after I broke it down to her, she still like really provided no,
Hmm.
like, well, I hope everything works out or anything. But
Yeah.
it was okay because I wasn't really looking for that, but I just, see
Hmm.
how, the family could know how a certain person is, or they can know that there's a situation and they're not really like supportive of
Yeah.
it.
Well, I can totally resonate with that too because growing up without my mom, the crazy part about it is that my mom has about I want to say maybe eight or nine siblings. I believe she's one of 10. And I grew up in Chicago. And at
Okay,
that time growing
me
up,
too.
I want to say that all of my mom's siblings were still in Chicago, in the outlying suburbs of Chicago. So when my mom and I were going through this thing, and it wasn't anything I have to say that I think I did, right? I question myself sometimes, like, why is she like this with me? And as I became older and I come to understand that there is a real problem, I think I was probably 14 to 15 when I finally came to that my mom was different, right? You don't really know that your mom is different until it just kind of hits you. So when it hit me, I was she was very aggressive. And I was very young and I couldn't understand, well, why is she so aggressive with me? And that was one of the things that shaped me, her aggression. And when I say aggression, I want to say verbal, emotional, physical, just very, very aggressive. And then it
I
took me
totally
years.
understand that.
It took me years to like really figure out that it wasn't me. So
Right.
up until that happened, every decision I made was based around that need to understand why was she like that. So as time went on, I had to first understand that my mother had 2 children by the time she was 15.
Mm.
So I knew at that, once I came to that couldn't have been easy for her. Uh,
No.
so that played a big role in my forgiveness. Like, I forgive her. I love her. I do.
Mm.
But I also understand that the relationship was just not healthy, right? So, which is why I had to separate. It was for the best because mentally, for years, I was very, very depressed and just kind of going through life because that connection was never there that you get with the typical mother daughter bond, right? It's
Right.
not there. So you don't really know how to navigate all those emotions, all of those feelings. You don't really trust people. So it makes it hard for you to communicate. It makes it hard for you to function. And so you're just kind of existing. So that's kind of what I look at it like. I existed for a lot of years until I decided to figure out what was going on inside of me. All of that led back to her behaviors, which was something that, she couldn't help, right? Because she had her own set of issues. And I'm sure that at some point or another, she may have felt bad, but I don't ever think that that was truly the case because I never felt that, right? I can't speak for her, but I don't ever really felt like she ever felt bad for her behaviors, which was even made things even worse, right? It's like, why don't you just admit to what you do? Like,
I think that my mom felt bad for her behaviors,
mhm.
but she still would do them,
Yeah,
and so it was like, okay, you feel, and that's the thing that would trigger me because it's like, I don't know, but like some part of me, like, okay, I see you, like, even though you're not doing this to the extreme that you was,
hmm,
you're still being manipulative, you're still being condescending, and it's really like for no reason,
yeah,
just to kind of like make me feel some way. And then I think the way, like, when you talk about shaping, I think what it really like shaped me is
mhm,
like, I don't look for people validation. And because my mom was so not involved, like, if I would have, like, because I used to tap dance and I used to do modern dance when I was little in high school. And
yeah,
she wouldn't, and I used to run track and I used to be on the
yeah.
basketball team and she wouldn't show up
Same
to
here.
those events. But it was like, what it happened, what it made me do is I never really consulted with anybody. If it was like
Yep.
I was gonna do
You
something
just
like,
do. Yep.
yeah, if I was gonna
Mhm.
pick what school I wanted to go to because I wanted to do this, it didn't matter what anybody else said. That's what
Mhm.
I want to do.
Right.
So I
What?
think that, you
Yeah.
know, it's some parts it hurt me kind of. I feel like to some degree there is some damage there, but
Hmm.
then at some point too, that damage kind of like healed me in some places because, like, when you were saying that you didn't understand for so long, like, for a long time I was crying, I was wanting my mom,
Yes.
I was wanting that
Hmm.
relationship,
Yeah.
like, with her, like, so much, and I couldn't even understand. There was even a situation to where I had a situation and I was told like I couldn't really like make contact with my mom,
Right.
and I still did it anyway, and it still escalated that situation. And I couldn't understand, like, what do you mean I can't be
Right.
around my mom? What do you mean? And I didn't understand it. But then another part that my mom played that kind of hurt a lot too is that when I was very young, I had a lot of stuff going on because I lost my brother at 8, and I was
I
only nine.
know.
I
Yeah.
was only 9 when that happened. So I started smoking and finding different vices like at an early age, like
Yeah.
smoking cigarettes or smoking marijuana, for instance.
It does lead us to those places, and it's only
I
because
mean,
they're
substances. I'm
coping.
sorry, I don't want to get your channel knocked, but substances, yeah,
Yeah. It's coping mechanisms, right? And
yeah,
that's another thing. So, and some of those things, we trick ourselves into thinking that they make us better or feel better. But
oh yeah,
really, it suppresses a lot of things. It only takes us away from those things for a moment because, like, same thing, it leads us to places that we just shouldn't be.
yeah,
However,
oh
there,
yeah.
like you said, vices and fear. So I know that you have an interesting relationship with your mother and more transactional, right? I know all about transactional relationships. And fortunately, you can still kind of coexist with your mom, right? And Like, so how does that shape you? How does that help you like maneuver with your own children? And I know that you have a 17-year-old daughter right now, and how does that help you with her? You know, especially with that going on with your mom right now.
Coexisting with a toxic mom is kind of difficult. Actually, I've really recently just found out it's unhealthy
It is.
because it transfers over. It
Yep.
transfers over into you. Like you're thinking you're helping her. But
Mm-hmm.
okay, because when I say that, my mother was a drug addict, right? So that's the whole reason why daddy stepped in at 10, because mommy was on drugs and she was out, in the streets. So we're basically a product of the war on drugs, basically. So that's basically how I really consider everything. And that's kind of how I was able to, at least I felt like I was forgiving her at the time, because I know, you know, that's a disease and it's something that's very hard to kick,
Right.
right? So, um, back to trying to trying to have a relationship with my mother during those
Mm-hmm.
with that type of condition,
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of unhealthy because you find yourself trying to it's like you're trying too hard to have a relationship with.
Over
Uh-huh.
pleasing.
You know what I mean? It's like you're overcompensating.
Overcompensating.
You're
Yeah.
overcompensating trying to have a relationship with someone,
Mm-hmm.
and they're not
Hmm.
basically giving you the same energy back.
No
And
Well,
reciprocation.
yeah,
that is an attachment style,
it kind
right?
of fucks you up because she's my
Mhm.
mama. So in my mind, I gotta try this hard because she is my fucking mama. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's the
But you
whole
know,
reason why I have been trying so hard, is because she's my mom. Other than that, I would have been let go. Like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
I
Yeah.
don't
But
know. I think that it shaped me in another way too, because it is kind of easy for me to be like, okay, time's up with the nonsense. I've been, putting a lot of work in all by myself, and I'm the child. I'm not the mother in this
Yeah.
situation.
Yeah.
And I feel like the mother should take the initiative, just like with my children. If my
Yeah.
children were having a problem or we're having an issue, I feel
Mm-hmm.
like it's my job. Now, sometimes they may come to me if they know that they're wrong and say they apologize. But if
Right.
I feel like I was over the top as well, I'm going to apologize as well, because
Exactly.
apology and acknowledging that you did
Yep.
something
Yep.
can heal a situation, and it can go a long way.
It absolutely can. And since you mentioned that, right? So there were times where my firstborn, and I think that everybody's firstborn, if you come from this or you live in this environment, they get a lot of that. We put a lot of that on our kids. So my son, my firstborn, he was like, I don't want to say he was the thing that brought me to myself, right? Because he would get vocal with me,
Oh,
and I
yeah.
always felt like he was being disrespectful, right? But when I felt like I was being a mother, that tough love, because I had a boy, it was only out of fear that I didn't want. I was trying to keep him safe, right? So I didn't really know that I was harming him, right? Because I just did not know how to be a parent, right? So he said, "Mind, all you do is yell. All you do is yell. That's all. You just don't know how to talk to people. All you do is yell." And I was like, "Oh my God!" So and when he said that, just one day it just clicked to me. Oh my God! Like I'm turning into my mother, you know. So the I don't think that I've ever called my kid out of his name, and if I did, Trey, tell me, right? But I don't remember. However, I remember apologizing a lot to my son. Really, just apologizing
Yeah.
a lot of shit, and a lot of those apologies came later in life because I didn't know back then what I was doing. It wasn't until that I really had to just take a shovel and just start digging really deep because I didn't like feeling like I was feeling. I didn't like the person I was when I was with my kids. I didn't like making my kid feel bad. Um,
Right.
I had a real soft spot for my children because my mother didn't have that same soft spot for me, right? So I never wanted my kids to feel that. And I never wanted them to feel what I felt. And so I always made it a conscious choice to just love on them, right? And throughout that conscious decision, I had to learn again just how to talk to my kids, just how to love my kids, how to hug my children. So if you've ever had a mother who's called you out your name,
Oh yeah.
bitch, call you a whore, things like that, those things stay with you,
Oh
right?
yeah, and then they kind of like when that's somebody so close to you calling you
Yeah.
names like that because I'm gonna tell you how bad it was. Like, just for instance, like my mom was so verbally abusive
Mm-hmm.
that she got jumped by women in the neighborhood that stayed above us that could hear her and how she talked to us. And they knew that that was affecting how we were acting and the stuff we had done
Mm-hmm.
because I had viciously attacked this girl in first grade, like real bad.
Not the first
And
grade.
yeah, the first grade. And it
Oh
was
my
like,
God. That's not funny.
I didn't feel nothing because it was just so much stuff going on like with me
Mm-hmm.
emotionally and how my mom was treating me.
Mm-hmm.
And but even when that happened to her, I felt bad at first, but it was after I had moved out of the city of Chicago. I had
Mm-hmm.
moved to South Holland and I had heard about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I to think about that is just how verbally abusive that you are. People can hear you outside of your windows
Yeah.
and they know that it's a problem. Like
Mm-hmm.
you're hurting your
Isn't that
children.
crazy?
You
People
got to get some
around you
help.
will know what is happening. And it's strange to me that nobody will ever step in and be like, you know what, that's not cool. You don't do your kids like that, right? And people, we as Black people, I mind my business, mind your business. That ain't my business. We're too quick to say, I mind my business. However, when it shows up in our community, oh, people don't raise their kids, oh, you don't do this. Well, guess what? It takes a community, really, it does. I think
Yeah.
that we've gotten away from that village mindset where people just don't want to get involved because today it's almost kind of dangerous. But
It
it's
is dangerous to get involved, like unless you have a mutual agreement.
yeah,
You just can't go getting involved no more
yeah.
like that.
You can't. And it's really sad because when parents did think that way, our grandparents and uncles and aunts were really involved, you didn't really see it as much. And if you did, you know, people talked about it and it wasn't people trying to hide things. People really cared about our children. And you just don't see that anymore. And you see in today's world, our parents are getting younger, right? So I
Yeah.
think that plays a big part too. Our parents are getting younger, so they're growing with their kids, they're befriending their kids, they kind of kicking it with their kids. So there are no boundaries. So now you can't even really parent or even be of a support to a parent because now the kids will, they're
They
just
think that they think it's all cool with the
right.
parents.
And this is because of that, because we've all lost touch with family, and nobody wants to step in and say, you know what, let me help you with this. Like, let me help you with you. I see maybe you're overwhelmed with your kids. Like, if you're overwhelmed, let me take your kids off of your hands just for a couple of days. Those little small things will help a mother, right?
Yeah.
Through a lot of things, some reprieve from the kids, especially if you're a single mom. We got bills, we got rent, we got all
Yeah.
everyday stuff. And if you're dealing with that all on your own, your job, um, just whatever, we don't have that same support. You can take your kids, to Big Mama house, to your aunt's house, to your sister's house. We just don't support each other like that anymore. And it's a real thing. And so I feel like this is why we need to do this. And I think that a lot of this stuff that's going on with mothers and daughters, people think it's like, it's no big deal. So I got something I want to share. I just want you guys' opinion on this because I thought this was real disgusting. And we see this more and more in our community. And I think that people are just they think it's normal. I don't think it's normal. But I'm going to share this, right? And okay, I see we got 2 viewers in here. If you guys are just out there watching this, please share this live screen. Um, I know that people don't find this an easy topic to talk about, and it's real sensitive. but it's important to our community that we understand that as mothers, none of us are perfect. We're all going to make mistakes. We've all made our share of mistakes. However, we want to fix us. We want to fix our community. We want our children to not be fearful of us as parents. We want our children to be able to come to us and talk to us without fear of, whatever, right?
Oh
Um,
yes.
Yeah,
we
that's
we
basically
My
want.
daughter just came to me recently, and I'm glad that our communication is tighter now. Since Christmas, it's a little weak, but before Christmas, she
Mhm.
did come to me because some men did try to approach her
Whew.
on some weird stuff, and I had to report it and get, Buddy Boy fired, get him on out of there because he's a predator, and it was
Right.
obvious. So, I'm just glad that my daughters feel comfortable enough to talk to me about certain things. I know
Mhm.
they don't tell me everything that's going on, but I
Mhm.
still try to be objective when they do and not get mad or yell at them and stuff like that.
We have to be available, and
yeah.
no matter
Me and my daughter's relationship is pretty good. I mean, she loves to talk to me. She
how.
when she comes, she loves to just open up and talk about what goes on, and I like to ask her questions too, realistic questions about
Mhm.
what's going on at school and
Yep.
like with her friends and stuff like that too, and just trying to stay on top of everything and making
Yeah,
sure she
and
ain't
just
leaving me in
let
the
them know.
dark.
We have to be available. I think that we get so caught up in our day to day stuff, our own personal relationships, our work, our friends, our social lives, and things like that. And then our kids kind of get left, in the background, especially if you got teen kids and you got smaller kids. Um, and it's hard. You got to find a balance because they're in different places in life. So you got to adapt. And so I definitely know what that is, having a boy and a girl being a few years apart. So
Hmm.
as mothers, we have to find ways to balance that, right? And just be available. But we can't really be available to our kids if we're not available to ourselves. If we're not good to
Right.
ourselves, we can't be good to our children. And this is really what this is about, learning how to be good to ourselves. And once we figure out what our issues are, what triggers us, what makes us go, what makes us pop off, what makes us mad emotionally, mentally, like I got some examples, right? So the things that make us snap, and we have to address those things so that we don't give it to our kids and then they go out into the world and they give it to somebody else. And that's really what it's all about. And just not passing on this behavior that we picked up because our parents didn't know how to appropriately parent us. And again, it's not even their fault. I think that if some of these resources that we have were available to our parents, I would like to think that they would have used them. And I read a lot of books about this, and I examine myself and my own behaviors on a daily, and it takes daily work to be able to do it. And I don't think that one conversation will fix it. I think that it's something that we need to keep doing. I think it's something that it's nothing to be embarrassed about or be ashamed about. Um, because for a very long time, I was very embarrassed about my relationship with my mother because I felt like something was wrong with me. Um, and then I had to really understand it was really never about me. However, the things that she gave me were things that I had to deal with. And once I figured out what they were, it made it a lot easier for me to be a better parent to my children. Not a perfect parent, but a better parent, a better friend, a better partner, just a better person in the world, right? Because we can be angry and not even know why we're angry. And until we start to address those things, and we won't ever know, nothing will ever change, right? So
Hmm.
this show is really us saying, giving our contribution, saying it's a lot of us out here. Um, we represent a lot of different age groups here. This is just not an old people thing. This is not a black thing. It's not a white thing. This is a thing, a real thing in all communities. And I think that it's important to address these issues if we just want change in our community. We can talk about it all the time about how we feel like, our kids are bad and all these crazy things that go on in our communities that people look at us for and think that we're just African Americans, we're just all bad, you know. This is not just an African American thing, this is a people thing. And
That's
um
correct.
and so I think that until we address this mental health, taking care of ourselves, practicing self-care on a daily and a regular basis. And I don't mean just going to the gym. I don't mean just changing your eating habits. I mean just really learning how to effectively um, feel your feelings, address
I
your
like how
feelings.
you talk about journaling because that's something
Yes.
that I need to do, you know,
Hmm.
definitely.
Yeah, you've got to get it out, and even if you don't even know what it is,
Mhm.
you
I just
know.
I
be so
journaled a
scared
little
of
bit.
somebody reading my work, you know, like somebody getting in there and seeing what it's all about.
Get one with a lock on it. Put a lock on it and keep the key.
Yeah, you can do
Well, I
that.
wanted to answer that question before we go. Shaping my mother, how has she shaped me?
Hmm.
My mother basically, with that distance that we had from age 10 on,
Hmm.
she basically kind of taught me how to rely on myself, basically. Don't rely on basically anyone else. Just
Yeah.
know that it's basically you.
Hmm.
Just from the absence.
Yeah.
I know I struggled with self-esteem issues, and I don't know if it has anything with her not being there, but I
Hmm.
used to think I was ugly.
Hmm.
Um, and then um, just being able to, like Anna said, make not having nobody else tell you you did a good job. Basically,
Right.
patting your own self on the back. Because there
Yeah.
again, my mother wasn't at a lot of my events too. I used to play the cello. I was in the orchestra, and
Hmm.
my daddy always showed up, but we never did get to see my
Hmm.
mom show up. But all of it to me was because of the drugs.
Right.
So you know, I'm kind of
I'm
like.
not gonna lie, I can definitely identify when you said that it made you feel ugly because for a long time I couldn't see how I looked, like if I was
Hmm.
beautiful or not. You know, I
Right.
just
That's
because of
negative
everything.
self-talk, right? So negative
Yeah,
self-talk comes from being programmed that way, right? And when people talk negative to you and it kind of over and over, it's just like hearing something in your head. It's like a TV that never shuts off, right?
right,
Somebody tells you all the time, you stupid, you're dumb,
right. Oh
you're
yeah.
this.
But I didn't get that. Like I didn't get the negative. Oh, okay. Maybe stuck up. You stuck up. She would say things like that, but she didn't
Hmm.
tell me I was ugly. She just wasn't there to tell me I was pretty. You know
Right.
what I mean? So
Hmm.
I remember at nighttime when I was living in my grandmother's house, I used to pray every single night that God would make me
Right.
so
Hmm.
pretty that I could get rich just off the comments people would say. Like
Oh,
that would be my prayer. Like
right.
that's how bad it was
Pretty
for
pretty.
me as far as me feeling like I was ugly.
Hmm.
And you know what
I
I
kind
mean?
of I felt that way too. Like, and this wasn't even as a child. We're talking about as an adult, really. Um, but my mom's behavior carried into my adult life until I decided to just end it, right? But I kept her close because I felt like at some point or another, the light bulb's gonna go off and she's just kind of like gonna want to have this relationship with me, right?
Hmm.
And I held on to that. But she would say things like that to me too. She would be like, I wish I never had you. If I didn't have you, I would be this. I think that she was just regretful of having children. I always say I felt like we were just kind of like victims of circumstance, right? I have five brothers and I'm the only girl. And I said, well, why would God put me in this position when I'm the only girl and I get this treatment from her? I felt like she would cherish me. But because she didn't cherish me, it was like, I look for other people to cherish me. So, and so I definitely get that about feeling pretty, feeling wanted. It creates a lot of issues around abandonment. It
Oh
creates
yeah.
around rejection. It definitely messes with your self esteem, your self worth. It makes you, like you said, seeking validation because you're alone so much. Now, for me, it was kind of the opposite, right? I wanted people to like me. I wanted to fit in somewhere, right? I needed somewhere to fit. But because I was alone all the time, I couldn't stay anywhere long, right? You don't have
Yeah.
time to fit in. You don't have time to make friends. You don't have time to get settled into anything because I was homeless pretty much my entire teen life.
Oh
So
wow.
I wasn't in the house with my mother. I wasn't at home. I wasn't anywhere, right? So my journey was I'm just trying to make it from one day to the next. And so when you're in that, it creates a need for family. It creates a need for something stable.
Right.
So,
Because when you don't have that connection with that mother, with
mm,
your mother, like it creates, and to some degree, because my mom's mother died when she was 10 years old.
oh,
So I
mm-hmm,
gotta, put that on out there. So I feel like a lot she just didn't know how to be a mother.
mm-hmm,
And it probably could have been perhaps confusing to her. And at some point she probably just didn't want to do it, but she was already in there.
mm-hmm.
My mom, she's been in college, like she just pursued her master's degree in foreign languages, so she's highly intelligent.
Okay.
But she focuses all of her energy into the research, into the things that she wants to know. She just got back from Alaska not too long ago.
Mm-hmm.
So she's very adventurous, but when it comes down to like family orientation, you know,
Just not
um,
there. Yeah.
she's not there. And so it's like I've come to the place where I understand it, and I'm like, I know that
Mm-hmm.
this is toxic. I can't allow myself to keep getting sucked in, and I have to make separation and distance. That's good. I'm glad about her achievements for sure. I'm
Mm-hmm.
very proud of her. But when it comes down to the toxicity and how she handles me,
Mm-hmm.
I have to keep my distance,
Yeah.
But I do talk about her achievements. My children know
Absolutely.
that their grandmother is a very smart woman,
Mm-hmm.
Um, but socially, she doesn't really have a lot of that.
I
So,
think that it's, and again, this is not to dishonor our mothers. Um, it's our way of saying that what you couldn't give us, this is the result of that, right?
yeah,
Whatever, however that presented itself or showed up, this is the result of that. And I think that once people come to terms with that part of it, it's like, you know what, I'm not trying to say, you know what, I hate you or I dislike you or I don't love you. The behavior, it's what you did to me. And this is the result of it. And I don't want to be that type of mother. And I think that there are a lot of mothers out here that could examine their relationships with their children today. Um, Maybe things that they haven't dealt with, things that they haven't touched on, things that they don't even realize, right? And
right.
so that is the sole purpose of this channel.
I definitely have love for her for sure. I love my mother deeply. But it does help to talk about it, and I say that all the time. It helps to like, get it off your chest. Hopefully a miracle will happen. But
Well, look,
um
I want you guys to see this, right? So I'm watching this show, and it's called the Karomo Show. I don't know if you guys ever watched this guy, right? So I'm watching this show, and he really his show. The premise is to um really help mothers and daughters, basically, kind of what we're doing here today. However, I feel like it needs to come from the soul source. We're that source. Nobody knows it better than us, right? Because we live it. So I'm watching this show, and this guy just really just he doesn't offer any real solutions. I kind of feel like he just kind of puts it on display, and people don't they look at it and then they go on and they don't really think anything else about it, and
mhm.
so nothing will ever get done. So I'm going to share this with you guys, and you guys just kind of tell me what you think about this because I thought it was pretty disgusting. This one particular, well, all of the mothers, but hang on one second, okay? I'm going to grab this for you guys. So give me one second here. When I tell you I've never seen this, is kind of the thing uh, that we've all had to deal with, but I don't think that I've ever heard a mother say this, right?
Mm.
Okay, hold on. And this is kind of a generational thing. So this mom had her daughter at 17. The daughter is now 20 and had her first child at 17. And their dynamic is the mother is 38 now. So they're not that far removed in age if you really think about it. So I'm going to share this real quick, okay? Okay, hold on. Okay. Let me know if you guys can hear this, okay?
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I would be in the middle of it.
Yeah, I can hear it.
I can hear
But
it.
it was more like the person that she dealt with at the time. It was like he would be more aggressive towards her than he was to me. He was like, okay, well, talk to him and see, make sure he doesn't come to the house and try to harm us or something. Um, it was really like I was in situations I didn't want to be in.
Mm. Did your mom get into physical altercations with other people when you were younger?
Yes.
She did. What happened when she was 8 months pregnant with your sibling?
So that day she was going to McDonald's.
This is
It
her
wasn't that
mom.
far. She asked me if I
Okay.
wanted to go with her, and that day I just didn't feel like it. So because she didn't have her car, that's why she walked to McDonald's. I guess she seen her car on the street. She seen her car on the street, or she seen the person that had her car on the street. She seen them, and then like she confronted them, and like per usual, they like was tussling or whatever. The girl, she ran her over.
Ran your brother over. And she was 8 months pregnant.
Hmm.
Okay. And
So what the daughter is doing is she's just kind of telling him that the mother was in a toxic relationship, and the mother approached the boyfriend and the other girl, and the girl, she was pregnant, ran her over. So
Mm.
the daughter is still really suffering from the trauma. So the mother is, yeah, all right.
so how old were you at this time?
7.
So you're 7 years old and your mother gets ran over while pregnant. Um, did your siblings survive? Did not survive. Okay.
Mm.
So what does she say now when you bring it up?
Get over it.
Oh, okay. What did your mom say when she found out you were pregnant at 17?
Show me the board.
She wanted you to abort it. Okay. And what did you say back?
At first I was like, okay, like maybe she's right,
So
maybe.
look at the
But
mom's
then when it was
face.
like time to go forward, because I was like,
She's
okay.
already on the
Yeah.
defense.
And your mother is 38 and you're 21. So she had you at
She
17.
looked like she ready to.
So you had a child at 17. Your mother had a child at 17. Okay. Understand. So what do you want from me today? What are you hoping for?
I want my mom to understand what she put me through. I understand, like, we can move past it, but I want you to like not admit but own up to what you put me through. Like
Got it.
it's acknowledge it at least.
You got it.
Take
Got it. Got it.
accountability.
Okay.
Damn,
That makes a
can you
lot of
do
sense
that?
to me.
Oh,
Well, listen, it's time to meet your mom. So everyone, please welcome Portia to the show.
this right here. So look at the mom. The mom is dressed almost like the daughter. First of all,
So, hello. So first of all, I just don't understand how me being ran over caused her so much trauma to where it's like she just can't get over it. One fact, you weren't there. That's a fact. You didn't see me
I
getting
didn't say
run
I
over.
was there.
Right. I know. I didn't say that, but you didn't see me getting ran over. You didn't like experience that. So I'm just saying, so to put yourself in that trauma and stay in it is something that I just can't do.
Portia, I want to know from you. Can you tell me what happened on the 4th of July?
Yeah.
You can take a seat, please. Yeah,
Okay.
please take a seat. Thank you. Thank you for being here, by the way.
Right.
Yeah.
So the 4th of July. Okay, first of all, I'm yelling at my youngest daughter. So if you see I'm yelling at her, I'm the mama. This a bear. I'm roaring right now. So I'm yelling, and then I come in there and I say something to you, and I got an attitude. Me, if I was there, I'm like, girl, bye.
You talk at me, you don't talk to me.
No, you're too sensitive.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are. I don't like that. Like, I'm not gonna be on no.
No, you don't know how to understand. You don't take what people say to you and you don't be like, okay, well, I did this, I'm sorry. You don't know how to apologize. You be like, okay, well, get over it. Like, oh well.
Why did they get physical that day, though? I'm still not understanding why they get physical.
Because when she stood up, she was talking to Buck. You know what I mean? Don't get up and start
But you
bucking
kept
at
saying
me.
you would hit me. Like, what are you?
Juicy, I did
Well, she
not
said
tell
she
you
was
that I
hitting
would
her.
hit you.
Yes, you did. You kept threatening me.
Well, guess what?
See, well,
Get out of my face then. Girl,
Who threw the first punch that day?
it wasn't no punches because she was doing too much. So yeah, I choked her a little bit. Yeah, get down, sit down.
How do you communicate when you're angry?
I don't know. It'd be both. I could be mixed, talking verbally or Yeah.
So when you get angry, you get loud, you get aggressive, and you sometimes you might have to get physical.
Yeah, but with her, it's not because you're my child, so I most definitely don't want to take it there.
Of course.
You get what I'm saying?
What you mean?
So she said she don't want to take it there, but you can actually see that when she comes out, she already in aggressive mode. So
she came out ready to hit her.
she
She
came
looked like she
out
was
ready
right.
to just be aggressive with her.
Yeah, like a friend, like she would be a friend, and
Right,
not
like
like
she was
another.
somebody on the street, right? And so I'm going to fast forward this because she said something later in this video that just really left a bad taste in my mouth. That she was like,
That's not the case. Like, because I was pregnant at 17. I had a baby at 17. And
Is this normal how she does? She gets shut down?
mm-hmm.
So she gets quiet. When she gets quiet like this, she shut down. What do you normally do?
Keep talking.
You keep talking.
Mm-hmm.
aggravating her.
Do you ask her what's wrong with her?
Yeah.
And what did she say?
No, this time she's, what's wrong with you? Like, why you got an attitude? Why you like, nobody want to talk to nobody like that? I don't want to talk.
How would you like her to respond to you?
Sometimes she over talks. Like, she talks too much sometimes.
Do you feel like your mother loves you?
I don't know.
I got to tell y'all that I can see very quickly what the breakdown is. This relationship is. It's interesting because I see both of your sides, and I see immediately like why you want the sort of certain things in your house, and I also see why you shutting down. There's been a continuous pattern in your entire life of like you experience something that's traumatic, you experience something that's abusive, and then all of a sudden you tell your mother, and your mother's like, get over it, because you've had to be strong. You've had to be the one that has to figure it out. You've had to be able to be like, I got to keep going. You've never had time to sit there and be sensitive and figure it out.
Right.
You had a child when you were 17. You had abusive partners. You've always had to say, let me get my ass back up and figure this out today. There's no time to be sensitive and quiet. I get it. But yet on the other side, she grew up in a house where she saw those things, where she saw trauma, and so she needed time to process, because for her, she didn't have the mentality of thinking like, I got to get up and doing it. And so even like some of the language y'all use back and forth of like, you say she's too sensitive. That's all language of somebody who's trying to process their feelings. They're trying to figure out, what am I going through? Because the interesting part is, I just think about the fact of like when you lost your child, and I'm very, very sorry. I know it's been years now, but that stays with the mother. I know that, and I'm very sorry that happened. And the thing is that when she brought it up, I understood what you meant by like, that didn't happen to you. And so when she talks about the sibling that she didn't even know from your point of view, you're like, that didn't happen to you.
So
Can I?
you guys got any thoughts about this? Like,
Yeah, for sure. Like, so I feel like although the daughter wasn't there, she still feels affected, but I feel more that she's affected by the mother's attitude and behavior from that situation, and how
very
the mother
dismissive.
was effective. Yeah, and even though she doesn't think like, oh, I wasn't there, but all of the grief that her mother was going through by herself, I think that the mother needs to like, seek counseling, because she really doesn't. I don't know if she dealt with that or not, but it's causing some problems between how she's treating her child. And I feel like, I mean, that's a Hollywood panel right there. So,
Yeah.
their job is to get paid. So, they're not going to really offer a whole lot of solutions. It's more for showing kind of like clout. They're just on there.
Yeah.
But these type of situations, they need like real help. And they
Yeah,
need to talk to somebody that's real.
And that's the point. The point of showing this content is because it's a very common thing. There's a place or a spot in here, and I'm sorry I didn't trim the video down, but at some point the mother said to the daughter that if she like bucked up at her, she would make her leak. Like I'm gonna hurt you. Like I'm gonna make her leak.
Oh no.
So that verbiage itself, can you imagine what this little girl feels to hear her mom say that? If you do this, you don't want to fight me, because she know I'm a fighter.
She looks like she's not really disrespectful to her mother. You
The
know
little
what I'm saying?
girl.
Like, it's like if she gets angry, she walks away.
Yep.
And not a lot of kids do that anymore. Some kids try to stand there and hold a conversation with you
Mm-hmm.
She's literally showing her respect. So I think it's more her mom's kind of like bullyish.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like the daughter is like overcompensating, trying to create a relationship. Because I felt like when she found out that her mother was got ran over with the baby, she was like, "Damn, that's my mama. Shit, you hurt my mama. You hurt, mama. You need a hug or
And they
something."
lost the
And the
baby, and
mama
then
was
it's like
like,
the
"Nah,
mom's
get
not
off of
really
me.
thinking
I'm
about.
good." Yeah, it's like the mama is trying to be too hard when the daughter is trying to give her hugs, and she ain't even seeing that part. So that's the part. That's what I see, because the daughter do look like she's very respectful and like
What I,
she just wants some love from her mother. So I
what
feel
I
like
took
that's all
away
she was
from
trying to
it
do.
is
But the
that the
mother's just
mother,
not understanding.
yeah, she's not understanding. And then I also took away from it is that the mother may be embarrassed behind the situation
Oh
itself.
getting, because she was kind of defeated by getting ran over, and
She don't.
that might have been something that they was like,
Mhm.
yeah,
And she lost the baby and the man, right? She lost
Yeah.
all three, huh?
So she don't. The mother don't want to
It was
address how she
embarrassment.
got in that situation. I think that that's embarrassing for her. So she wants to forget that. The fact that the daughter has other issues with the actual what happened, she
Yeah.
can't address that because the mother won't address it because of the situation. She got ran over because she was in a situation with a man and another woman, and she don't want to talk about that.
You know what? When my brother ended up when he was in a coma,
Mm,
and my brother was in there, my mom was getting, now she was getting counseling at that time, the whole time, because I remember, because I was going to her counseling appointments, but
mm-hmm.
I wasn't getting nothing.
Yeah.
And I didn't start getting help until after I had my son, and I had like real extreme postpartum depression.
Right.
And it wasn't towards my baby, it was where somebody had ran up on me, and then
Yeah.
it just I started going off on people. So
Just
it was like,
underlying issues.
oh
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, you know what, guys, this has been absolutely a good start, I think, to our show. I
Mhm.
think that it's hopefully opened up some eyes, some thought for people to just really think about um, how we can be better to our children, how we can be better in our families, how we can be better to ourselves. Hopefully, it's spark some thought, some conversation in your homes. This is not meant to be negative. We want this to be an experience where people can say, you know what, hey, you know what, I can be better with myself. I can be better with my kids. Like, how can I be better? And it's not going to happen overnight. So next week when we come back, we are going to talk about identifying trauma and our triggers. And I'm not a psychologist. I'm no mental health professional. I only go based on my own personal experiences and how my mother and my own relationships has shaped me. So my traumas and triggers are very active still today. And it's something I work on every day. And I hope that we all continue to work on these every single day as they come up. It's not something you're going to know right away. But as they come up and as they arrive, I implore you to take a look at these things and get a better understanding of how you can be better.
All
So
right.
a motherless flower is here again solely for support. We want to provide information. We want to share our stories. We want you to know that you're not alone. If this is a situation that you're in with your own mother, or a situation that you may have had with your mother in the past, and you guys are, share that with us. How you got through that, what you did to make that relationship. So we're going to talk about this more next week. I thank you guys so much, Sophia, and I thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
And we'll be back
Thank
next week.
you.
All
Thanks for
right, well, see you
joining us.
guys next week.
See y'all next
See you
week.
next week. Peace.
Hey, have a good night.
Good night, ladies.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Peace out.